January 12th, 2020. Big day today, baby boy. It is January 12th, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you and I are in our own room. This morning, your cool down ended and your warm-up began. In those few hours since then, multiple IVs have been removed, the electrodes monitoring your brain were removed, the arterial line was removed, your catheter was removed, your morphine drip was removed. You're so close to being off everything. Your mom has been in pain and stress over this whole situation, but today she started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. She can now help in getting you back to 100% a full recovery. More and more people are praying for you. The reach has expanded from nationwide to global. There are literally people all over the world praying for you. Before you were born, I had aspirations for you to make an impact in the world. I look at celebrities, sports stars, and I think, why them? Why do they get to be the ones to have so much influence? I partly wished, prayed, that my son would be able to impact the world, and only a few days into your existence, it has happened. I keep praying over you for God's favor and blessing, and I know without a fact, you are covered in it from head to toe. Mighty Micah, Micah the miracle. That's who you are. I love you, and I'm so proud of you. I'm Ricky Merritt.
I'm Cheyanne Merritt.
We moved here to Houston, Texas a couple years ago. We've been married 7 years. That's Micah.
January 8th, 2020 is when Micah Jude was born. And on that day, a lot of different things went a little bit unexpected and awry during the birthing process. On the morning that Micah was born, everything was going good until the last few hours when I was pushing. Micah actually got stuck and he was not getting oxygen at that time. So the doctors are still unsure if he went for a total of 8 or 11 minutes without oxygen. But in that time, a lot of damage could be done. He was born with HIE. And in the very first few moments of his life, God definitely used his life to give us a clear understanding of his perspective, his timing, and the miracle of life that we're living itself.
Watching him being born was awesome, but then having them immediately say, get the crash cart and all this stuff was like, whoa, this is nuts. Whole team rushes in there, literally had those tiny little paddles that you see like clear, like this big. They're little baby paddles. This moment was crazy for me because I'm instantly thrust into this like supportive father role where Cheyenne's over here like, I don't hear my baby crying. I see all this going down behind her, so this was nuts. I'm over here trying to support her while supporting my kid.
30 minutes after I delivered and they took Micah away from us, the primary surgeon for the NICU came in and she basically explained what took place during his birthing process and that he was not moving, he was not breathing. At that point, we weren't sure if we lost our son. What they did tell us is that there was a lot of unknowns. They couldn't tell us if he was gonna walk or move his arms or move his legs. And hearing that is overwhelming, to say the least. I wish I could have all the words to kind of piece together what I was feeling in that moment, but it was a very numbing moment for me. Micah was taken away from me, as well as Ricky. We never got to hold him. He was immediately taken off into the NICU, and they were going to do a hypothermic treatment where they were going to lower his body temperature to make sure that the damage does not move on to any of his kidneys, his liver, his stomach, whatever it was, and that it was only at his brain.
They have to take him to another hospital that does this treatment. The hospital we were currently at didn't have the equipment, everything else to provide that. So this will have to say my goodbyes to Cheyanne. Like, I have to go with him. We'll stay in contact. I'll let you know everything that's happening. I ride with Micah. We get to the hospital. They immediately plug him up to all these other machines.
During all that, he had a brain bleed. He had a number of different things that were going on. He was not clotting his blood. He was not breathing. He kept having seizures.
So I was sitting by his side 24/7 for those first 3 days. I was just sitting there watching over him, getting in contact with my family, getting in contact with Cheyanne, letting him know what's happening pretty much hour by hour. One thing I actually ended up writing in the journal about this specific time that just came to me in this while I was writing is that God had to watch his son in the grave for 3 days, and that was just like the craziest comparison to think about that while I sat there next to him. After those 3 days, when they started doing the warming process and getting his body, all his organs activated again, is when Cheyanne was able to come see him.
When I first got to see Micah after 3 days of not seeing my son, I wasn't able to touch him or hold him or pick him up or hug him or anything like that. And within, I would say, the first 3 minutes of me walking into the room, he started to crash, and he had an episode where they had to get the crash cart and giving him oxygen again.
Correct.
And that was very hard to watch because it just was in my moment of pain. I kept thinking, like, I'm all by myself. I'm not a mother. I was contemplating all these things, but a lot of them were me based of just, I don't feel like I'm a mom anymore. And immediately when I saw my son in that moment, I was just like, I am mama. This is my role. This is what God has called me to be. And what I can do is provide hope and my love and my constant presence to him whenever I can. So me just being there, prayer, hope, and that was my calling in that moment.
So like when he was born and they took him and he wasn't crying, she was like, why isn't he crying? And I was like, he's in God's hands. Like, I don't know, it's God's will. Whatever happens, happens. If whatever his life looks like from now on, he's in God's hands. So whatever was happening was, God, your hands are over this kid. Like, he's yours. Do whatever you need to do, do it.
And that's hard. Like, as humans, we just want to be in control, right? And be like, I want to fix this. I want to make it right. I wish I had the knowledge of the doctors. Ultimately, Micah is God's son, and we are here to just show him the truth and the light and the love of Jesus. Mm-hmm. The emotion that I felt when I was in isolation by myself would probably be, I thought I was going to give up. I didn't know if I really wanted to continue to live my life. And I felt like I lost all hope. When I was away from my family, away from my son, just in the dark, alone, my first thought was to give up. And then I kept getting constant reminders, whether it be from phone calls and texts from our loved ones, of people who are praying and just reminding me and instilling and constantly just whispering in the back of my head, God is still good, despite what is going on. We were never told that this was going to be easy, but we were told that he would never leave us. And that's, whenever I'm alone is usually when I struggle the most. And when I am with my husband or in community or just by the people that I love, it is always a reflection and a reminder of he hasn't forsaken me. He hasn't left me here by myself to do this by myself. I think the biggest thing that God really showed us in all of this is, yes, his healing power. Yes, he's good. Yes, he loves us and his grace is covering us. But he also shifted our perspective of our idea and image for him. His image and his identity will always come from Christ. And any of these ideas we have for him, to whether it be to play sports or pursue music or whatever it may be, I want him to do that, but I want it to be in a way that honors God. I've learned through this process that I don't want to put any of that on him myself. And that's so hard to do as parents, but it's also so important just to make sure that whatever it is, he's a living, breathing testimony, thank God. Mm-hmm. And whatever he wants to do, whether it be music or sports or anything he can imagine and dream of, science, that it honors God. I'm so thankful for our community. I'm so thankful for the people that continue to press in and call me and follow up on me, especially when I didn't want to answer, when it wasn't easy to always have a response in that moment. I'm thankful for the people that were willing to sit with me in silence and when I didn't have all the right words, and sometimes I still don't. I can't tell you how grateful I am for those people who did not give up on us in that moment.
Like at first I kind of wanted to just keep this between like us, like really tighten it, just like a few family, of maybe a few friends that we're really, really close with.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, if you think about that, like that's limiting his testimony. That's limiting who could be affected by this. So we talked about it like, yeah, let's make this a social media type thing. Like, let's put this out where other friends and family can see it, they can share it, it can spread. So we put it on Facebook, Instagram, things like that. So that gave more people access to the story. I wasn't trying to give out all the details and nothing like that, but I did want as much support as I could behind him. So that just meant more prayers, more people thinking about him, that spread. So it was cool to use that to get the word out and get people praying and the support. This is Micah Jude Merritt, born January 8th.
Left the NICU hospital 2 weeks after he was born. And now he is truly thriving. He is one of the most joyful, smiley babies I've ever come across. And he's a constant reminder of just the resiliency and the strength that Jesus Christ displayed for us at the cross. And I'm thankful for him.
Yes.
To see him be able to do this kind of stuff, like, they're already huge victories in themselves when they reach those milestones, but this just, it makes you appreciate the dirty diapers and the walks and the crawls and the cries, everything that was silent for 5 days. Now we get it. It's amazing.